After almost 2 years, I have finally watched an Indian movie in theaters again.
Doctor.
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage and Doctor is a brand new Tamil language comedy thriller that was just released in theaters. And I was lucky enough that it was released in theaters in Vienna as well. Or actually, that one theater that also plays Indian movies here. Doctor is the second feature film that was written and directed by Nelson. It stars Shiva Karthikeyan as the titular Dr. Varun, but it's really more of an ensemble film, and one of the film's definite strengths is that ensemble keeps expanding as the movie goes on. I'm not sure why, but the trailer almost solely sells the movie as a thriller, when in reality it really shines as a dark comedy. I would say it's a dark comedy first, and then it's also a thriller. And to be completely honest right from the start, I think it works pretty well as a comedy. I certainly laughed several times throughout, but it doesn't really work as a thriller. And this combination of comedy and thriller felt rather bizarre to me. And this might certainly be a cultural thing, but I am used to and I also enjoy and judge movies in terms of their coherence. How does the story, characters and execution come together? How are all the different elements connected? What kind of genre does it cater to? And I don't mind if you get more genres at the same time. So many movies combine different genres and flavors, and through Indian cinema I'm also well aware of so-called masala movies. But the combination in Doctor felt really crude to me, and there are large sections in the movie that just want to be a thriller or just want to be serious and tragic with no potential laughs at all. The tonal shifts are once again pretty big. Sometimes that big contrast is used for a joke and that's great, but most of the time it takes too long until the movie shines again through its comedy. So I ended up having a decent time with the movie, really enjoying its comedic elements, but I also wasn't that thrilled by it as a whole. Doctor has a rather lukewarm beginning. It makes you chuckle a few times, but it also hits you over the head with these two very heavy and somewhat cliché song montages. One that shows us how Varun and his fiancée Padmini, played by Priyanka Arumohan, fall in love, and the other trying to put us into this very sad, depressing mood after her younger sister Chinu gets kidnapped. In a drama, sure, or even in a crime thriller, but in a dark comedy like this, I was a bit perplexed by the dreariness of it all. But luckily after that, the movie really picks up the pace as well as the comedy, because then the actual story and direction become clear. This is certainly a commercial movie, but it's not really about just this one hero who is saving the girl on his own. It's an ensemble film in which the hero is forming this unlikely team to find and save the girl. And their methods and personalities are not what you would expect. And that's because Doctor is a dark comedy and it's not afraid to get really quite sinister with its jokes. For example, the very first step of Arun is to actually kidnap a young girl themselves, so that they can then observe how the police is going about their work and try to mimic and take advantage of that. Arun's team obviously consists of Chinu's family at first, but it doesn't take long until low-level kidnappers and other criminals become their allies as well. Which is of course pretty absurd and funny. Like I said initially, one of the film's highlights is the way this unlikely team of heroes is getting bigger and bigger as the movie goes on. Two of the best and funniest members are Yogi Babu as Pratap, a kidnapper himself, and Redin Kingsley as Bhagat, a cop who had enough with the way he is treated by his seniors. Both of them are pretty hilarious, and especially Redin Kingsley is bringing so much energy to the movie. Some of the performances are really big and broad, and some of the humor certainly wacky and in your face, but it works. And the dialogues are also pretty nice at times, and the editing is responsible for some of the best jokes as well. Like when our team tries to sedate and kidnap other criminals, and Bhagat isn't really able to pull it off. Unfortunately, at other times, the editing can be pretty rough with some truly sloppy scene transitions. But apart from Yogi Babu and Redin Kingsley, my comedy MVP, at least in the first half, unfortunately not so much in the second, is Deepa Shankar as Preti. She has some of the funniest lines, and her character's commitment and strange enthusiasm for the whole operation is really something. But what about our main hero? This was my first Shiva Karthikeyan film, so I had no connection or expectation whatsoever. In comparison to the other characters, he's almost like the straight man, comedy-wise. Only that he's extreme in that regard as well, because his Varun's more or less only real character trait is that he is super rational and goal-oriented. He barely ever smiles in the film, and he's more like a robot, the cold mastermind behind the operation. And in that, SK is doing a good job, but I also wish they would have done more with that angle. Early on, there were some deadpan moments when he's unable to express any kind of emotional involvement, but later on, it's more used just for some badass master scheme. Only that the whole story progression in the second half is really not that masterful or exciting anyway, and I think it's a missed opportunity not to give SK more comedic stuff to do. The second half has some wonderfully absurd comedy moments, but in a movie that's not that tight to begin with, it gets even sloppier and illogical later on. It's also a bit weird to me that we get that romantic song at the beginning and the conflict between Arun and his fiancée or then ex-fiancée Padmini, but then through the whole movie there's really not much happening between the two. And of course you can already guess how it will end, but there's barely anything in between to make that really resonate. I think where the movie really shines is in the whole segment from about 30 minutes into it until the interval, when our team really starts to make some moves, when Yogi Babu joins them, when they are trying to infiltrate that whole kidnapping underworld. It has the best pacing and the most frequent jokes. There's also a really neat train sequence that's so memorable and exciting because it combines the humor and action so well. Unlike the climax, which mostly reiterates being just a thriller again. So in German I'd say, Doctor ist immer dann ziemlich gut, wenn er seine dunkle Komödienader auslebt und sein tolles Ensemble spielen lässt. Möchte er packender, emotionaler Thriller sein, klappt es leider nicht wirklich. Als Ganzes betrachtet bin ich froh, ihn einmal gesehen zu haben, aber die Mischung ist für meinen Geschmack doch etwas zu bizarr und halbgar. I give Doctor 6 out of 10. It's more like 6.1, but I don't do that.
சாகிறதுன்னு முடிவு பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் தூக்கல மாட்டிக்கிட்டானே லாரியில மாட்டிக்கிட்டானே எல்லாம் ஒண்ணுதானப்பா.
Alright, that's it like always. Comment below and let me know what you think about Doctor. And also let me know what is your favorite dark comedy. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram and Letterboxd and also on Patreon simply at TheJimmyCage. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all I have to tell.